Hey, well, today it's going to be the E50, the German T9 medium tank. And wow, what a tank. I've seen this thing in gameplay quite often, and I often thought to myself, that looks like a good tank. It looks solid. It's got some good characteristics to it. And my biggest issue was the Panther grind. I thought the Panther was a difficult tank to play, and I persisted and actually learnt a lot about playing that tank. And I was grateful because I actually played the E50 very similar to how I played the Panther. Funny that. You get used to lines, which is why you should never try and free experience and get ahead because what I find is that the lower tier tanks of that line actually reflect what the tier 9, 10, etc. is going to be um, quite well, except for there's some exceptions to that rule, but generally that's the case. So you see what we've done here, we've pushed up and I'm just angling the front because the good part about this tank is the front's quite solid um, and it's got it's quite the turret's quite close to the front of the tank, which means I can sort of angle up and still just drop back and get some shots in. But I've got to be careful I don't overexpose the plate um, and the side plate there because it's only 80 millimeters of armor there, so they can pen me real easy. However, having a look at this, right, the mobility and the way the thing can get around is fantastic, and it's a side scraping beast, absolutely the same as all the German tanks, which is fantastic because you can get yourself into position where if the back's to the wall you can use that and bounce a lot of shots. And I can say with a whole lot of confidence that this tank's ability to bounce shots has actually saved me on a number of occasions where ordinarily I've got myself into trouble and it's all over Red Rover. And you look at this, just one from one end of the map to the other in no time at all. Puts a shot into the back of that E100 and he's rolling on and put another one in, but it bounced. Obviously, he turned. But they're taking out our team member here, and the balance of the game is still there. I mean, we're pretty much even at this point in time, and I'm in a tier 10 match, so we've got this E50, which is a tier 9 tank, and we're in a tier 10 match, and it's holding its own. And I kind of must have had psychic ability that E100 was going to come back. Isn't it funny how you do damage to someone like that and they want to come back and take you out? It's human nature, isn't it? But I was just being patient here. They'd roll back, hoping what was going to happen was I was going to come after them. But I'm just being patient. I'm waiting, and you notice I'm angled at this point in time, which means the gun depression on it is fantastic. If they were to shoot me right now, I guarantee we would bounce off the top part of our front hull there because it's angled so radically to them. And I've got my gun pointed exactly down, and lo and behold, AMX just comes up and just blocks me here. But he's keen. He's got plenty of firepower, and I'm not going to deny him the use of that. You can see straight away I just tracked that IS-7, which is what I was hoping to do, and it just allowed the AMX there to take him out. So we kind of worked together in this regard. We're now 2-on-2. And we're in a situation where this could have gone either way. But look at my hit point pool. I've been able to save it, and just putting damage in, rolling back, just waiting for my gun to reload, get another round, roll in, and just do some more damage if I can. I took some damage that time, but this time what I'm going to do is just roll right around on the back of these guys. They're focusing on the AMX, which he took out the OBJ, and he took out the E100, but we just gave support the whole way. He took the focus off the other guy and allowed that to work together. Now, if you look at what we do here in damage, 3,000 damage without a problem at all, and didn't do any kills, but we supported the AMX, and he was able to get the kills. That all comes down to the characteristics of this tank. Let's have a look at that. You start off with the options of pretty much the Panther 2 guns, which are completely inadequate at tier 9. It actually does tier 9 okay. It's when you come up against tier 10 tanks that you struggle. Because you're looking at the standard shell damage of those sorts of guns are way down. That one's 190 down, and this one is 130 down. and you look at the pen, 17 down on what you've got at the higher level, and 22 down on the higher level too. Rate of fire is better, but what's good of rate of fire if you can't pen the tanks that you're up against? So I've just gone with the 10.5 centimeter L52 Ostb gun because obviously that's the progression to the E50M, and like you're looking at a lot of credits to unlock these guns. You want to go out and pay some extra credits here for the 8.8 centimeter, which is significantly less damage, but it's actually got better pen and the rate of fire's up. So you can see that that gun would be an advantage, but you know, from the way I look at it, 54,000 credits experience is actually a fair bit. I mean, I could get that right now, but my goal is the E50M. So why am I going to waste it on that? If we also look at the engine, this was probably the big thing I struggled with early on. I did the engine upgrade because if you look at the difference there, you're looking at a huge amount of traverse speed. It's actually 13 kilometers an hour slower. But also, funnily enough, what made a huge difference was the tracks. So they're both fairly expensive. Obviously, I unlocked them now, so I can't tell you what the credits were to buy them. But it was a fair amount of money to spend to get this thing to work really well. Once I unlocked those two, the tank's dynamics completely changed. If we have a look at the loadout with the equipment here, obviously I'm running the gun rammer, and that's only because I want the rate of fire to come up to about 8 rounds a minute, which actually is fairly good, and it can give you a big advantage in some of the battles that you're up against. I'm running the protected modules, which is, you know, trying to protect ammo racks and engine and that sort of stuff. Optics, which I think is pretty standard on this. We come down here with the advanced or enhanced gun laying drive. It gives me a slightly better aim time, and I am running enhanced armor because you're looking at the armor ratio there. You could add 85 hit points to it. I think it's fairly borderline, but having just slightly better armor allows me to bounce some shots, particularly when I'm angling or side scraping. And here, improved control. So improved control just gives me better mobility, like traverse speeds up, but you've got better engine power, and your degrees it actually allows you to climb a bit better. Outright speed, another 1.75 is not really going to do much for me at that level. So I want the mobility for that brawling. I haven't unlocked V-Stab yet, but I reckon V-Stab would make a huge amount of difference to the tank also. Here we're going to have a look at another game. This time, you know, we're pushing up here on the left, and you know, it's one of those maps that you can really get in trouble with. If you push up here and you've got the whole team here, you know, you could risk it. But what I'm doing is just pushing up, knowing that I'm a fast tank, so I'm going to get here fairly quickly, and I'm going to get here faster than the enemy, because it's just basic physics. It's got the drive, it's got the grunt to do it, and we're going to use it that way. So I've also spotted no other tanks on the map, which means they're not over this side. They're either going to be sitting over here camped in their spawn, or they've actually pushed down the low side, which I'm not a big fan of in this map. If your whole team stays together and you're up on this side of the map and then they're all on the other side of the map, you've actually got a big advantage, because you've got all these trains, you've got all these buildings, you've got the height as well. So if you've got someone who's sniping on your team, they can actually get away with it. Whereas on the other side of the map, you're actually quite exposed, and you can be easily spotted by your mediums who are sort of stationed here. And you know, it can be quite difficult. So you look at the speed of this thing. We've gone right across the map, and we're going to put a couple into this Jag now. And I'm not sure we set him on fire, but someone did. But you know, from our point of view, we're going to chase this guy down, because we know he was the last sniper on their tank, which is a good hiding spot over that side for them. But look at the speed of this thing. You know, it's got the armor of a not quite a E75, but it's got the armor of a heavy tank in some regards, but the speed of a medium. And you know, I'm actually chasing down these mediums with ease, and I've got the firepower to back it up. Uh, and this is the part where you just go, wow, this tank is probably one of the best tier 9 tanks that I've ever played. And you know, I'm going to switch up to APCR there, which I carry a few all tanks I play. The reason being is I really wanted to make that shot. I didn't want to bounce off the front of that Jag because they are a dangerous tank. They really can do some damage. And see what I'm doing? Again, I'm using the gun depression here. Bounce that shot. And that's put him in a difficult position. Bounce that shot because I'm just angling up nice. And I'm using my gun depression with effect. So I really wanted to get rid of that guy, and again, switched up to APCR just to make sure it's stuck. Okay, I copped a bit of a pizzling there, but at the same token, we were able to kill two tanks on the hop here, and I'm fairly certain that we don't survive this match. But what we're doing is we're just using the characteristics of the tank to effect. Again, we just bounce some more shots there, and I'm coming back and putting shots in and just driving backwards. Because look at the speed in reverse. It's actually so to your advantage to do that. And again, wanted to make that shot. I should have switched to APCR with the low, you know, but I didn't. Still putting damage in, and I'm about to meet the maker. But what we did enough damage and enough disruption there to actually help our team win the match and try to get out of there. There was nowhere to go, and I should have actually gone back to that rock there on the left. But our team has now got the ascension. It's actually on the front foot and attacking, you know, these guys do a really good job finishing this match off. But again, we distracted all these tanks who thought, you know, we were the tank that had to be taken out. They took all their focus off our mediums, and you know, even our tier 8s are getting involved now, and you know, finishing up and cleaning up, which is great. So I really love the tank. I really love what it can do. Don't rush out and be a frontline heavy tank. Play it like a medium, but with some decent armor. Enjoy the game. Subscribe to the channel. Hope you're enjoying it, and let's keep growing and keep building on what we've already done. So cheers.